Have you ever filled out one of those quick online quizzes and then just wondered what happens next, behind the scenes? Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain on a really slick piece of automation that takes your answers and turns them into a totally personalized report, almost like magic.
I mean, it really does feel like magic, doesn't it? You spend 5 minutes answering a few questions, you hit that submit button, and then bam, a professional, custom-made report lands in your inbox. But you know what? It's not magic at all. It's just a really, really well-designed workflow.
So, to really understand how this whole thing works, we're going to follow the data. We'll track it from the second it's created all the way down what I like to call a digital assembly line until it becomes a finished product. It's a fascinating trip.
Okay, so where does this all get started? Well, believe it or not, it all begins with just a single click from a user.
Right, so the starting gun for this entire automated race is when someone fills out something called an AI maturity scan on Microsoft Forms. It's just a simple questionnaire, really. It helps a company figure out how well they're using AI. Takes maybe 5 minutes. But that one little click, it sets a whole chain of events into motion. The moment that form is submitted, an automation tool, you can think of something like Microsoft Power Automate, it instantly detects that new response. The very first thing it does is reach right into that form and grab all the raw data. The person's name, their company, and of course, all their answers to the questions.
Okay, next stop on the assembly line. We've got all these answers, but now we need to turn them into something the system can actually understand. We've got to turn those words into cold, hard numbers.
So the workflow just methodically goes through, extracts the numerical score from each answer, and plugs it straight into a master Excel scorecard that's living on SharePoint. It just updates the sheet, one question at a time, until the whole quiz is quantified. Now this is actually my favorite part. The system intentionally waits for 2 full minutes. You might think, oh, is that a glitch? Is it slow? Nope. It's a feature. It's a brilliant little quality control step that gives the cloud enough time to save everything properly, making sure the data is 100% accurate before it moves on.
So, with all the data prepped and double-checked, we've arrived at what is basically the brain of this whole operation, the analysis phase.
And what's really clever here is that the workflow itself doesn't have to do any complicated math. Not at all. It just reads that master Excel file again, which, get this, has already used its own built-in formulas to automatically calculate an overall average score. Pretty smart, right?
And this table, right here, this is the decision-making logic in a nutshell. Based on that single average score, the workflow assigns a specific AI maturity level. If you have a low score, you're an explorer. A high score, you're a trailblazer, and so on. This is the exact moment where the report starts to become truly personal.
All right, now for the really fun part. We're at the most dynamic section of our assembly line, actually building the final product, piece by glorious piece.
Think of it like a recipe for a custom report. The workflow goes shopping for all the right ingredients. It grabs the user's name and company, it finds the right story and recommendations that match their specific level, it picks out a custom avatar, and then it gets this really cool visual element called a heat map.
So, what is a heat map? It's basically a color-coded image that gets generated on the fly by a totally separate tool. It takes all of those individual scores and turns them into this simple, really powerful visual that shows you at a glance exactly where your strengths and weaknesses are.
And this is where it all comes together. All those ingredients we just gathered, the name, the story, that custom avatar, the heat map, they all get injected into a pre-made Microsoft Word template. As soon as it's fully populated, the system saves it and in a blink converts it into a clean, professional-looking PDF.
So the report is built. It's ready to go. Now it's time for the final phase, shipping the product out the door and, of course, tidying up the workshop.
The workflow executes its last 3 commands in this lightning-fast sequence. First, it emails that personalized PDF right to the user. Second, it creates a follow-up task for the internal team. And third, it tidies everything up. And that internal task, that is so important. A new card just pops up in Microsoft Planner, already assigned to the right people with the user's name, their company, and a link to their report. This makes follow-up completely seamless. It means no potential lead ever falls to the cracks.
And finally, we have the cleanup step. The workflow literally deletes all the temporary files it created, the Word doc, the heat map image, all of it. Honestly, this is the mark of a really well-designed automation.
It leaves the workspace totally clean, organized, and ready for the very next person who fills out that quiz. So when you look at the whole process, you realize it's not just about being fast. It's about using technology to deliver a deeply personal, really valuable experience to every single user, instantly and at a massive scale. It's basically having a one-to-one conversation, but completely automated.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought, one final question for you. Seeing how all these simple, pretty accessible tools can be connected together to create something so powerful, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What could you build on your own digital assembly line?